A billion people watched the same replay. A billion people saw the same thing. And every single one of them, fans, pundits, commentators, people who don't even like football, arrived at the exact same verdict. That is offside. No question. No debate. Don't. And then VAR overruled all of them, penalty given, goal scored. And the one graphic, the one tool that FIFA uses every single week in leagues across the entire world, the calibrated freeze frame that drops 2 lines on a pitch and kills any argument in under 2 seconds, never appeared. Not in America. Not in England. Not in Spain. Not anywhere on earth. FIFA had the proof. FIFA held the proof. And FIFA showed the world absolutely nothing. A billion people demanding one answer, and the most powerful organization in football went completely, deliberately, almost arrogantly silent. This is not a refereeing controversy. This is not a bad call on a Tuesday night. This is the World Cup, the biggest stage on earth, opening week, maximum audience, maximum spotlight. And FIFA just torched it, live, in front of everyone. If you want World Cup coverage that calls out what others won't, subscribe right now, hit the bell. This is Football Untold, we tell it all. Every single time. Qatar versus Switzerland. Levy's Stadium, San Francisco Bay Area. First week of the biggest football tournament on the planet. And it's not even halftime before the whole thing explodes. Swiss midfielder Remo Freuler drives into the box. Qatar's goalkeeper comes flying out. Contact is real, it's clumsy, it's a fall. Referee points to the spot without hesitation. Fair enough. On the contact alone, you give that every day of the week. But then the replay hits. And the moment that footage rolls back, frame by frame, slow motion, crystal clear, something is very, very wrong. Freuler, before any contact happens, before the keeper is anywhere near him, appears to be in an offside position. Not by a centimeter, not by a toenail, clearly, visibly, undeniably. VAR steps in. Stadium monitors light up, the check is lev. Fans hold their breath, millions at home lean forward. Decision comes back, onside. Penalty confirmed, Breel Embolo scores. And then the entire world waits for the line. You know the graphic. You've seen it 1,000 times. 2 colored lines, frozen frame. 1 line on the last defender, 1 line on the attacker. Generated by semi-automatic offside technology. Cameras tracking every player in 3 dimensions, frame by frame, millimeter by millimeter. It ends arguments before they start. It takes 2 seconds. It is literally the entire point of having the technology. It did not appear on Fox Sports in America. It did not appear on British television. It did not appear in Spain, Germany, Italy, France. Not a single broadcast on the entire planet showed the viewing public the evidence that supposedly proved this call was correct. FIFA had it. FIFA used it, or so they claim, and FIFA kept it completely hidden from every fan watching in every country on earth. So the fans did what fans do when you give them nothing. They went to war. Within minutes, social media was on fire. German-speaking supporters, Swiss fans, Qatar fans, neutrals, were calling it the worst decision of the tournament already. Others were calling it the first scandal of the 2026 World Cup. Posts with hundreds of thousands of views, all showing the same replay, all reaching the same conclusion. Offside. Clearly offside. How is this even a debate? And FIFA, the organization sitting on the one image that could have ended every single one of those posts, said nothing, showed nothing. Just let the fire spread. Thousands of people, same footage, same verdict. And the only organization with the power to prove them wrong chose silence over transparency. That choice is going to haunt this tournament. When Gary Neville starts talking at halftime and doesn't stop, you listen. He didn't soften it. He didn't hedge. He went straight at FIFA. He reminded everyone watching that FIFA iced the host broadcaster. FIFA controls the semi-automatic system. FIFA had the graphic and either couldn't or wouldn't put it on screen. He said fans already don't trust FIFA. He said fans already don't trust the technology. And he said until FIFA actually proves their decisions are correct, not tells you, proves you, every controversial call is going to look wrong. And then he said the word that became the headline everywhere by Sunday morning. Dictatorship. An organization that makes decisions behind closed doors, holds its evidence internally, and then presents its conclusions to the world and expects everyone to just accept it. No proof, no transparency, just, we said so. Ian Wright didn't need much more than that. He kept it simple, brutal, direct. Where is the line? Why are we not seeing it? That player looks offside. Then one word scandal. They do what they want, he said, sitting in their office. 2 of the most respected names in football. 1 broadcast. Words like dictatorship and scandal thrown at FIFA in the same halftime show. That is not normal. That is a 5-alarm fire on the biggest stage in the sport. 3 hours after the final whistle, FIFA released a statement. 3 hours, the explanation. A technical outage had prevented the graphic from generating during the live broadcast. They said VAR's actual decision-making was never affected. They said the lines the officials reviewed internally showed Freeler clearly onside. They even posted 2 images to back it up. 3 hours later, after the goal, after the result, after the entire world had already decided. Let that sink in. FIFA's official position is, the camera that shows you the proof broke. But trust us, the proof exists, and it completely agrees with us. That is not transparency. That is FIFA writing a permission slip for FIFA. Because here is the brutal reality of that statement. If it is completely true, if this was genuinely a random technical failure, that is somehow more alarming than a cover-up. It means the system specifically designed to deliver real, time proof to billions of people collapsed at the single most watched moment of the tournament's opening week. So either FIFA hid the evidence deliberately, or FIFA's technology failed spectacularly on the grandest possible stage. Pick your version. Neither one is acceptable. Here is what you have to understand, because without this context, you're only seeing half the picture. This didn't drop out of nowhere. This landed on day 3, 72 hours into this World Cup, and look at what FIFA had already built before that graphic went missing. Ticket prices so astronomical that ordinary, working fans, the actual people football belongs to, couldn't get through the door before a ball was kicked. Empty seats staring back at cameras during matches, including this very game, where FIFA announced an attendance of nearly 68,000, almost a full house, in a stadium that television clearly showed sitting 3/4 empty. Gaps in every tier, every level. The explanation: fans in the concourses. Same line, every time. A travel ban blocking supporters from roughly 40 countries from entering the United States at all. Players and team staff pulled aside at borders, searched, interrogated, held up, and then the moment that made even seasoned football journalists stop and stare. FIFA's own hand-picked World Cup referee, a man they selected, credentialed, and invited to officiate this tournament, turned away at the U.S. border and sent home before he could take charge of a single match. Brick after brick after brick, 72 hours, one wall, built entirely by FIFA's own hands. And then they arrived at the most watched moment of opening week, and asked the world, this same world they had spent 3 days treating with complete contempt, to simply trust them. This is the part FIFA genuinely cannot seem to grasp. When that graphic didn't appear on Saturday, not a single person at home thought, probably just a technical glitch. These things happen. After 72 hours of this, the instinct went the other direction completely. People didn't see a glitch. They saw a cover-up. They saw exactly the kind of move they had been prepared, trained by FIFA itself to expect. And that is nobody's fault but FIFA's. Trust is not something you demand. It is something you earn, slowly, consistently, by showing your work even when you don't have to. Especially when you don't have to. FIFA has spent 3 straight days dismantling every single reason anyone had to believe them, and then walked into the opening week's biggest moment expecting a blank check of credibility they had already spent. That's not how the world works. Not anymore. Now, and this channel is always going to be straight with you, it is entirely possible the call was correct. VAR technology is real. Semi-automatic offside is genuinely sophisticated. The technical failure could be exactly what FIFA says it was. All of that can be true simultaneously. But that is exactly what makes this a catastrophe rather than a controversy. FIFA had one job in that moment. 1. Show the line. End the argument. Move on. They couldn't do it. And they had already spent 3 days burning every last bridge that would have allowed anyone to give them the benefit of the doubt. When you have made yourself the villain of your own tournament, you don't get to suddenly play the honest narrator. The audience doesn't owe you that. Not after this week. Qatar grabbed a late equalizer to claim the first point in their World Cup history. Think about that for a second. A nation stepping onto the World Cup stage for the very first time, fighting back, earning a result against a European side. That is a genuinely incredible story. The kind of moment this tournament is supposed to produce. You barely heard about it. Because FIFA buried its own tournament under an avalanche of its own making. The drama was real on that pitch. The football was there. Qatar's resilience was real. But all of it got swallowed by the noise, the missing graphic, the unanswered questions, the statement 3 hours too late. The football at this World Cup is genuinely delivering. The upsets are coming. The debuts are landing. The emotion is real. But FIFA keeps stepping on its own show. And on Saturday it did it at maximum volume, in maximum public, with the one piece of evidence that could have saved everything sitting somewhere in an office. Unseen, unshared, and unavailable to the entire watching world. The line never came. 3 days in, and honestly, nobody is even surprised anymore. So I'll leave it exactly where it belongs, with you. Genuine technical failure with the most catastrophically bad timing in World Cup history, or exactly the kind of trust us move from an organization that stopped earning that trust a very long time ago. Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, no exceptions. A like costs you nothing and means everything for this channel. Hit it if this gave you something the mainstream coverage didn't. Subscribe to Football Untold, because we are 3 days into this World Cup, and we are already keeping count of everything FIFA hopes you forget. The tournament is just getting started. So is the reckoning. Football Untold. We tell it all.